Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Lord of the Rings podcast, episode 12, where I am joined by the last Malorn. Great to have you on the show, mate. How does the day find you?
It actually finds me quite well. I've had a very relaxing day. Good weekend. No migraines despite the weather. I was a little bit worried about that this morning, but I'm in the clear.
I'm very glad to hear that. Health is also the most important thing. So I'm glad we covered off on that first. Look, and so you have, so it's a TLM, The Last Melon, which I love, very, very catchy to say. But I think it's on your profile. So is it Krishane or Krishane?
Krishane. It's like Chris and Shane, but one name.
I see that almost again sounds like you said it for most of your life. I have Albert Kessa, which is my surname, but a lot of people say Cheza, and I do a bit of like humor, stand-up, whatever, and I've just decided to call the whole thing Cheza because people just don't know how to pronounce my last name. I'm like, do you say chemist? Anyway, that's another tangent. But so right off the bat, everyone listening from all across Arda, please go right now to Facebook and check out Of the Rings of Power, which is a wonderful page that you run. So if I were to go to facebook.com/Of the Rings of Power, would I find it?
You would indeed. You would find it. And it just kind of started on a whim. And I decided to do a little breakdown of each episode of The Rings of Power. And I have, for the last few weeks, been working on a primer on the first age to help some folks along.
Love that. I love that. I did see that, and especially the preview sort of image that you shared with that was like, I loved. I was like, oh my God, that makes me actually want to, this one here, right here, which is so funny because you and I have similar palette vibes with what I've kind of gone with for the Lord of the Rings podcast, which is this beautiful play off of Telperion and Laranin, the silver and the gold. Beautiful. So please head over there. First things first. I'm going to wait for you all to do it. This is for the people on the post show too. Okay, have you done it? You've gone to facebook.com/Of the Rings of Power, and now I'm sounding like Stuart Griffin.
Thank you so much.
The lovely page from the Krishane. All right. Well, they had to begin there, and thank you also for sharing the show here. It looks like it's showing up twice, which is fantastic. So thank you, first of all, for your lovely engagement across the different various outlets of the TPN. I know that we've got two so far. So Lord of the Rings, and then there's one other that's like that you're big on. What's the other sort of topic for you?
Did we discuss some John Wick and Ballerina, perhaps? Yeah.
Right. So I love that. This is exactly why the podcast network exists, because next month or next month, I will as politely as I can press gang you into the John Wick 4 discussion show. Is that okay?
I'm totally on board with that.
Love that. Lots of lore, folks. You might think, hey, what's the crossover there? But there is crossover because John Wick is very medieval. I mean, it's there's adjudicators, there's coins, coins of passage. It's a whole vibe, and so there you go. So there's our names right there on screen. Krishane, your Tolkien story, if you wouldn't mind sharing it with us and committing it to podcast chronicle forever.
Absolutely, I'm happy to share. So when I was a wee lass, I grew up with the animated Hobbit and never read the books until I was a teenager, but loved the animated Hobbit. I grew up on 70s and 80s fantasy. And when I was about, I want to say 8 or 9 years old, I was in community theater in the musical of The Hobbit. I was a spider, which is kind of ironic because I am totally arachnophobic. And then when I was about 16, I got my first real boyfriend, and he gifted me a copy of The Hobbit, and I still have it. It is the first Tolkien book that I ever had, and he kind of created a monster out of me, to be honest.
Shouts out. And also very lovely boyfriend move to get to
right.
A book. Beautiful.
Good deal. Yeah, he was a great high school sweetheart. We did go on to get married and then divorced, and we're still friends and everything now. Like,
there you go.
Everything's kosher there, but devoured the lore after that. Just absolutely devoured it. Went straight into the Lord of the Rings, went straight into the Silmarillion. The New Line movies came out shortly after that. So I had only read it maybe 2 times before the movies came out. But I'm one of those annual rereaders, at least The Lord of the Rings and the Silmarillion, and usually The Hobbit, but not always.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, that immediately makes us like hella kindred spirits, that's like one half is modern young people speak, but kindred spirits, it's a timeless thing that applies right here, because I have similarly had Tolkien kind of woven into beautiful like friendships, and one thing is I'll just to kind of bring you in because you brought me in, which is so kind. When I was in high school, my friends and I would just hang out on the Oval between classes, and it's like 2002, and we would just daydream about creating like a Hobbit house together to like live in, and I was like, okay, this is how we do it. How would we? So we'd have to get like a storage container, and we'd have to bury it, and so we just sort of bunch of like early teens or like preteens like talking about this. It is one thing that I'm actually really glad to know that, as well as that connection you had, that now it's formed into what it is now. And there's as you said, Krishane, I love that. And what I'm hoping though is that you feel that I can kind of sense that it does, but I don't want to put words in your mouth, but that the Harfoots are honoring what resonates with you about I guess The Hobbit. So yeah, maybe as an impromptu kind of start to things is, are you enjoying the Harfoots?
I am. I was a little hesitant about their inclusion when I first heard about it, thinking, why do we need to have hobbits in the Second Age, right?
We had to interrupt.
Okay. I was like, I'm here.
I'm sorry.
Sorry,
I was in large screen mode, but you weren't. How long were you waiting? Oh my god, am I the worst?
Not that long. No, I was just about to message you on Instagram. I was like,
okay, fantastic. No, I'm very glad. So Ash, Krishane, Ash. You guys have a Shah and an Ash, and I like that, and it's fun. Why not? So yeah, she was just in the middle of sharing her thoughts. Lots of sh sounds today. Sharing her thoughts on the Harfoots on the Rings of Power. So please continue, Krishane.
Yes.
So very hesitant on their inclusion in the Second Age stories at first.
Yes.
Not totally against it, but kind of wondering, what are we doing here? Why are we doing this? Okay. And the way that they have been brought into the story is phenomenal. And just the themes of accepting your natural life and being being very close to the earth and being part of that. And the theme of pity, I think, was very important in that storyline, which was so important to Tolkien. And I have really appreciated the way that they have been brought into the story. I'm really excited to see where it goes.
Me too. You had a riff on that, Ashley?
Oh, no, I love that that's one of the awesome things about the Hobbits is just the earth. They're just so I'm not surprised. I'm surprised that there isn't a better origin story for them of somehow because if Aule got the dwarves from rock and fire or whatever the exact wording is, but I want a better origin story for the Hobbits to be they're made from dirt and something.
Maybe Aule's chin hair or nostril hair or something.
Yes.
Something adorable like that.
It'd be a toe hair, obviously.
oh yeah, they would totally do that. Why not? And I would actually be satisfied with an aside, like a dialogue aside of did you know that they said that we're made of the Aule's own Harfoots?
Yes.
Harfoots,
That would be amazing.
I would love that.
Very, very.
I would love that so much.
I've been
seeing a lot of that. Sorry, the similarities between Frodo and Nori. a lot lately.
Of course. I mean, they have down to the strands like falling onto
Yes.
the bed and stuff.
Yep, absolutely.
Big time. They're so wholesome. And, you know, it's interesting. Some folks talk about, oh, I want to go, you know, and it's even like characters in the book say this too. I just want to be with the elves. Go relax with the, you know, at Rivendell. And I certainly feel that way. Part of me also loves like Isengard ASMR, like just chilling in that completely isolated, beautiful tower. Obviously, none of the Saruman kind of intenseness with his like weird schemes and stuff. But I also will they immediately endeared themselves to me. Like I would love to like hang out and just in the forest, like with the Harfoots, you know. Michaela, we're trying to get Michaela. She's an Aussie. We have to get her on the show. We got Bridie Sisson, who, by the way, June 14th is her birthday. It wasn't early in the year, so it's really weird to talk about her birthday so early. But she has become like a legit friend of the show, and we're expecting, hopefully, to have her back at some point. So maybe she
especially because I've heard rumors. I read that article you sent me about the Nazgals making a comeback.
Nazgals, baby. Nazgals, baby. So, why am I like this? Krishane, what do you think? What do you think of the Nazgals?
Oh my God, they're amazing. They're so creepy, and the physicality of the performances is hands down one of my favorite parts in the latter part
hands
of
down.
Power season 1.
You know what I mean? The cultists. I'll call them Ring of Power.
So mysterious. I want to know their origin.
On now. Oh, stop. Look at this. This is cool. Intriguing parallels between Hawkins, the new shadow. So let's do it.
I like it.
It's fun, you know.
It's so hard to believe she looks so evil and mean in that. And she was so nice.
Right? And yeah, she's like a truly lovely, wholesome person. Same with Markella.
She just like was so smiley too.
There you go. So, no, absolutely right. This, there is one other comparison. These cultists I simply cannot overlook. This is from thewandering.net. Not Tolkien-based one. It's one with Mervyn Peake, the famed author of the Gothic masterwork Gormenghast, one of Mervyn Peake's Steerpike sketches alongside a certain brooding Rings of Power cultist. Hello, Ratty. Peake was an impressively talented sketch artist. A friend pointed out that one of Peake's sketches of his arch-villain Steerpike bears an uncanny resemblance to her. And I'm waiting for the Tolkien relevance. If there's no Tolkien relevance, that's fine. But, you know, whatever. Yeah. That's kind of fun. Thank you. Cool. But with the wandering.net, I shared it in our shared Instagram little chat, which you can join if you go to Topic Podcast on Patreon. These guys, Krishane and Ashley, their staff, they're like actual TPN. I'm going to send you lanyards and stuff. It's all good. But if you would love to hang out, there's going to be lanyards. But if you want to hang out with Ashley and you want to directly be on a show with the likes of Krishane and talk about the things that I include in that chat, like these amazing articles that shed so much Sauron light. Oh my gosh. Yes. Then please do head over to patreon.com. But before doing that, through me, go to Krishane Patreon, go to Sisters of the Podcast Patreon. Now I'm going to actually put you on the spot. Ashley, have you created a Patreon yet? I am beside myself with
I need you for my podcast. Can I hire you just to set all that up for me?
I'll do it. I'll actually do it. Okay.
Well, the problem is that like I don't have anything to give away. Like you know how they have like the tiers and stuff, but like I don't have.
Okay,
do you want more of me?
You know what it applies? You might be like Tangent Albert much. I'm like, that's cool. No, so Krishane and to the Ashleys and the Krishanes of the world, let me give you a PSA. So what like cracked it for me is I have the Patreon up there, and I've how you have like people. I don't know if the Munchkins remember this, the young folks, but you would have like a journal or like a just a scrapbook or something, and I've kind of developed a bit of a scrapbooky relationship with it, and I'll just chuck the old thing here. I've got a little browser thing. What I would love for both of you is like create it, whatever. You can just set it up with email. But don't worry about, I'm serious, this might sound crazy, but don't worry about putting stuff on it. Seriously, like people just want an outlet to be able to support you. You know what I mean? I'm serious.
Yeah,
like, Thank you. And, you know, I don't know if you know this, but Ashley, so Krishane has this thing called Of the Rings of Power. I don't know if you've dove into that. Facebook.com/Of the Rings of Power. She's creating kind of primers for you know, Tolkienists, you know, getting into lore. So very similar to what you do. I love connecting kindred-hearted people. And so we were about to do a dive on that, but I figured...
Yeah, go for it.
Yes, okay.
Go for it. Go dive.
So go dive, boy. Let me see if I can. First, I have to find this thing which I said that I would find. I really wish I could find things sooner. You know, they call me the thing finder, Ashley.
The thing finder.
No, they don't.
The truth finder.
They wish they did. Okay, so here it is. So Krishane and Ashley, this is a PSA to my friends here. Please do something where you're just like, I just called people gems because I call them that, like in parlance. I'm like,
you do. I love it so much.
And so and everyone is so sweet. They refuse the lower tiers. They've just jumped on the latter ones. And what I would love to do, for example, I'll be your first patron if it should it come to it. I'm sure hopefully you'll just have you know, Sisters of the Shire army jumping on first and beat me to the punch. But I would love to. Yeah, I'll be. You know, you've called me an honorary brother of the Shire. Like, have that be a tier or something or whatever. And I would love the idea of like jumping on and you're like, hey, if you know, $1 a month, $2 a month, whatever. And then we just include you in the Sisters of the Shire, like guest pool. And then you just pull someone in onto whatever program. You guys use, it's not Discord. You guys use, Podcastle.
Podcastle, right? Yeah.
Podcastle. So various different ways to do that. And see, I will never talk about my own Patreon directly. I'll just be like, here's a page if you want.
No, and that's perfect.
Right?
Your
okay,
so legit. I love it so much.
I will do your banner. Okay.
Thank you.
I will. And same with you, Krishane. You know, if you want some stuff with like Of the Rings of Power, which I love, it also is the format of how Tolkien would phrase, you know, of hobbits concerning this, concerning that. Beautiful allusion that you're doing there. So
thank you.
So yeah, little mini divergence and kind of tangent into like supporting my sisters. Yeah. Had to do it. Okay. So we were on a topic, but let's just like tangent it out.
I want to see Krishane stuff.
Krishane stuff of the Rings of Power. Now, are you only on Facebook or are you on other places?
I am only on Facebook currently.
That was why I didn't find her. I'm on Instagram, but it's not a good format for the posts that I make because they're dense. Sure.
Okay. So that will change. I'm actually going to have a lot of free time this spring because I'm going to have surgery and I'm going to be off work for a few weeks. So I will be branching out into other platforms probably at that time.
There you go. Okay, so here's to your 500 milestone, 1,000, 2,000, getting more and more. Sorry, even like you already. I saw likes, but I thought that was followers. But you're way ahead of that. So yeah, and this beautiful, very kindred to what you and Abby do. Which, by the way, I would love to see Abby whenever she's available. She's lovely.
She's waiting for hubby to come home to switch kiddos.
Come home, hubby. Come home and say Abby's land is best. I should have at least tried a tree beard voice. So yes, head over here for not just that, but yeah, this meme thing that you're doing. I just love that.
That was a one-off.
The dark. Oh, really?
Too funny not to share.
Too funny not to share. Very dense. Again, beautiful, in-depth, like just properly scholarly. So one thing I like to do, folks, for you might be like, oh, that's a lot of text. There's a great thing on your phone. You can go into accessibility. It's called a two-finger drag, right? And now most of our, Siri's, Alexas or whatever, they can just read the page for you. Just chuck it on in the background, like doing dishes or like a podcast. So I could grab this whole thing. You can even have, drag that all and go like right click, speak text. Beautiful. Okay. You might hear instead of
good idea.
Cut off, you might hear the AI go Karche Roth. But it's meant to be worthwhile regardless. So and just this detailed, maps of like the movements.
I have such a hard time finding good maps.
Right.
Like the maps of what I need. Yeah.
Oh yes. That shared woe. The woe of shared woes. Yeah. Actually, there's, I'm trying to fine tune search engines to be able to find things.
I needed that map earlier.
Yeah. Right?
I needed the more north. That no one had any of the north. Oh man,
I've stitched together the north one and the south one of Valerian. I can send it to you.
Yes, please.
This is nuts. I had no idea that there was this.
Well, upcoming next week is going to be the battle of unnumbered tiers, and I was trying to I like to try and have a follow along map so that I'm not just painting this imaginary picture for those visual people that need to see it. Mm-hmm. But I couldn't get up and down and little stuff still. I can't get it all.
No, totally. And speaking of which, there you go, Sisters of the Shire on Anchor. I just there's a thing that happens in human psychology. So if you do the monkey see, monkey do thing, it's if I actually go there, Sisters of the Shire podcast, always add podcasts at the end on Instagram.
I still need to talk to those girls. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, I'm going to follow you on Avatar podcast. Take that. There you go. Get you up to that 2K. There you go. I've been soaked. Way of Water. Just so much Avatarismo, but there'd be no Avatar without Lord of the Rings. Simple as that. We even have a little mini episode coming of the nomenclaturic similarities. So there's a character in Avatar called Tuk, T-U-K, but I keep thinking Peregrine Took.
Tuk. Yeah.
And then there's also a character, her name's Ronal, but John Ronald Reuel Tolkien.
Yeah, I was just Ronald.
And then the big one, you have these whale creatures called Tulkun. Tolkien.
Oh gosh!
Wow.
Yeah. So who knows on what levels? Spelling it out, literally.
Yep.
That's the podcast that Gandalf and Saruman spelling it out podcast. Two Starry getting angry. I would love to listen to a podcast with Gandalf and Saruman, just being really passag towards each other.
Unfortunately, one of them is dead, and then the other one falls asleep all the time, apparently during filming. Yeah, have you seen those where and Gandalf is asleep?
Oh, freaking wholesome!
Just take a little napsy.
Taking napsies. We do have this little old thing happening in the background called season 2 filming right now. Just some of it across the pond here, but that'll be the last season. It seems here in New Zealand, unless they do pickups for latter seasons. But things have beautifully gone quiet. This is where the Abbeys and the Ashleys and the Alberts rise and can fill that gap of let's go, let's wander. But Krishane, you are our guest, so give us your hot take, off the cuff, off the bat. Your thoughts on season 2?
I think Halbrand is going to return to Eregion in his Halbrand form, and Celebrimbor is still going to work with him because he doesn't care what Galadriel says.
Boom.
I mean, he didn't know. She still hasn't told him anything.
Yeah, she just said, "Don't treat
where's she going?"
Right. Mm-hmm. As soon as she leaves and he comes back, then he's gonna be like, "Okay, cool. Hey, bro, what's up?" So I think she's going to be off adventuring somewhere, maybe looking for Celeborn, perhaps, maybe doing something else, but not in Eregion at first, I don't think.
Indeed, no. My, no, go ahead, Ashley.
Oh, I would.
Nothing? You're good?
You're good. You're
good? Okay. I like to do sort of either if it's actual evidence that we can look up, or if it's a feeling I get, but thinking of where the characters, where the creators were at when they were writing the season, and sort of deducing from their words, doing a bit of reverse engineering of what the season could be based on some of these things. He's mentioned Walter White, and he's mentioned Tony Soprano. And let's do a check in the room, feel the room out. Where is everyone with Breaking Bad? Where is everyone with The Sopranos? Have we seen it, or all of us? What are we looking at?
I kind of started and then stopped.
Okay, that's okay. So for both of them, or for just one of them?
Both.
Both? Okay, fantastic. And Krishane, how are you familiar with either of these series?
very familiar with Breaking Bad. Love Breaking Bad, love Better Call Saul, tangentially. I've only watched one season of The Sopranos, and that is in process right now. We're just, my spouse and I are taking a little break before we dive into season 2, but I am late to the game on that. Yeah.
I will, with no spoilers, I'll say about both series that, first of all, it's very heartening and like hype building to hear JD and, and Patrick. I call them McCain together, putting them, Patrick McKay, JD Payne. I love hearing McCain talk about these two series because that's a very high benchmark. There was a feeling that I won't necessarily say I was part of this kind of collective, but there was a feeling. Did we explore this, Ashley, about how like Rings of Power season 1 was 2 episodes long?
Yes.
Where it felt like there was this big build-up and then suddenly Sauron's there, and that like, and then basically episodes 1 through 7. Well, sorry, 1 through 8. Are there 8 episodes in season 1? I think so.
I think so.
Yeah. So episodes 1 through 7 are one episode, and then episode 8 is like so much happens in
its
8.
Own thing. Yeah.
Its own thing. Now with this like bandwidth that they now have to tell this story, which is why I'm bringing up here. So building relationships, right? From the beginning, we wanted to build a relationship between Sauron and Galadriel, which is established there. A lot of and look, I like lots of love. The whole season's beautiful in its own way. Even just
no bashing,
just love. No bashing, just crushing, like crushing on.
Yes.
So I hope after the last episode airs, viewers can watch the whole season again, which is what I'm going to be doing very soon as we go through. Are you ready? Drum roll. One of the things we're doing is going episode by episode, revisiting them one by one. So doing boom, we're going to look at this, that, the other. And
are you going to do it frame by frame like we did that one time? How long would that take?
But to mitigate that, I will scrub through, but to mitigate that, Ashley, we're going to divide it into chunks, right? So for IPN's movie stuff, like I'm big John Carter person. I think it was like robbed and like this fellow formative, sci-fi thing with Taylor Kitsch and Lily Collins and all this stuff, But yeah, that I'm going to be breaking them down. Some shows do, podcast networks do minute by minute, but I think taking just a good chunk and talking about it, chunk by chunk. So for those, it's going to be 3 minute by 3 minutes, but for series, because they're shorter, I was thinking maybe like we could do 10 minutes, like, and each episode is 10-minute chunks. So each episode, how long? Like an hour usually. So you're looking at roughly like a 6-part series for each episode. So what's 8 multiplied by 6? There you go. I was never good at this. There you go. Yeah. So it's like a 40 episode kind of sequence leading up to season 2. We're also going to have, I guess we're going into a bit of a content map here, but we'll talk about the original films as well. We'll have oh yes, there'll be overview episodes. There'll be like 3 minutes by 3 minutes stuff. So all stuff that by when we arrive on the threshold, on the doorstep of season 2, we're gonna feel, on that sort of Krishane, that kind of like Ashley levels of familiar and like, yeah. That's you guys
are we invited? That's what I
want. You are the show, silly Billy, as we say.
Okay, I was like, I don't want to ask, but I'm invited, right?
Thank you. And so the format will be as a little preview. Why not? So as you see me here with the article to the right, you can see my little cursor here. I can even zoom in. So we'll be able to do stuff like zoom in on the helmet that Viggo Mortensen.
Oh my gosh! I figured out a little bit background of the helmet thing just the other day.
Oh, you did? Okay, cool.
Yes, I figured it out. It's still weird to me, but I'm reading the part of the Silmarillion about the Battle of Unnumbered Tears, and spoilers. I hope Abby's not watching this part because Abby doesn't know yet. We haven't gotten there, but the helmet was supposed to like intimidate the dragons, I think. And they were like the dwarves were the only ones that managed best with the dragons in like the battles. So
boom.
Boom. They still look weird to me, but I kind of at least like, okay, I kind of get it. You still look like Persian weird people to me, but it's just me.
There you go. So
I was just really excited to figure that out.
It's a tangent-taking network. It is. You should probably avoid that. Maybe. But yes, and Krishane. So this, did you? I think I've included you in the chat. Did you have a read through this article, this page here for the One Ring?
I didn't get a chance yet, unfortunately.
We can do it together, like it's a class, like it's a web. I
love school.
Yeah.
Okay, children.
All right. Okay. So, and this is also where we're sort of doing a kind of a public service of like reading an article out. And again, the OneRing.net, such a lovely family. We have Varking, which, by the way, Will is one of the people who was instrumental in bringing the Lord of the Rings podcast to New York last September. It's his birthday. Okay. Happy birthday to you. Oh, happy birthday to you. I sound like a 1970s hobby. Happy birthday, oh dear Will. Happy birthday to you. Oh, get on your hip hip hooray. So obviously I have a future as a voice actor for like really bad Bakshi movies. Actually, no, I love Bakshi. And I love how voice acting. Let's do a sidebar. Why was voice acting in the way like people spoke? They obviously did smoke, but they spoke differently in the 70s, didn't they? It's I love that. It's just you know. Are we about to bring up a Bakshi clip? Yes, we are. It's time for Bakshi clip. Bakshi clip. I can't type. Don't ever type Bakshi clip because apart from Lord of the Rings, he did some really racy stuff.
It is shocking. He's yeah.
Oh, and by the way, no big deal. The entirety of the Lord of the Rings film is available. It's in chunks, but I guess you could kind of watch it here in essence. Shall we do Aragorn the Prancing Pony? Why not? There we go.
Oh my gosh.
That's fun, isn't it? Look at that. Look at the coziness.
Yeah. The short shorts.
The mini skirt.
Who wouldn't have wanted to see Viggo rocking the bloody rugby outfit right there?
And the belt buckle is like
that's huge.
Oh, yeah. It's too much. It is too much. But go over to whatever outlet. Obviously, don't watch it. Watch it in high quality somewhere, preferably on maybe like Apple TV or something. The Bakshi Lord of the Rings film. Lovely. And it's actually mentioned in this article, which we're going to continue perusing. So this, I guess I'll finish this quote here. Yes, we were concerned about a situation where the part of the audience steeped in lore in 6 or 7 episodes ahead of the characters. If deception is an important part of the journey, we wanted to preserve that experience for book readers too. There's something said here later about how Sauron deceived us during the watching of fucking episode. I loved that. I was like, that is Charlie Vickers as meta AF. It's beautiful. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
There was a quote in there, and I didn't realize that maybe it was from the book and not the actual movie, or maybe it was from the movie and I just totally spaced it. But I always thought it was so weird what Halbrand says to Galadriel, like the first thing, like she's been like swimming for hours. She's trying to get on this raft, and he's like, let me tell you this really awkward thing. Yeah, this cryptic quote. Yeah. I may not get on or not, but.
Right? Oh, what is it? This thing of,
the tide may flow or something.
Tides of fate are flowing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. But apparently Galadriel then says that to Frodo.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I did not know that.
Straight up.
Do I need to reread that, or is it in the movie?
Mm-hmm. It's not in the movie. It's book only. Yeah. Okay. Well, not book only anymore, technically, but.
Right.
Which deepens that for me. But yeah, go ahead, Ashley.
Oh, I just like there's little things that like, but why would you do that? Like, you had a good reason, I suppose.
Yes, that's right. That's right. And just these little tidbits of, the first angle. I love this sort of thing, like the language of film, like in his first shot, he's looking over his shoulder where you can only see one eye, like, I see you.
Right.
And the second line, looks can be deceiving.
Looks can be deceiving. Let's take a little sidebar. Does everyone know the full text? Because some people don't. They don't look this in deep. But let this be the point at which you learn this. So there is no life, right? This is Sauron. So when I first watched it, there was no subtitles. There is no life in the void, only death. There was just really, really like powerful, and to think that we get to see the journey of Charlie going from this, handsome Australian man to becoming an eye of evil. Will be you cannot hide. I see you. I'm so thrilled. I mean, I don't know if I'm alone there, but I love a good villain. And before it was
like a complex villain that has an ulterior meaning or a motive that I don't understand until later. Okay, for the people who haven't seen Tony Soprano or the Breaking Bad, the analogy I came up with, because I am 5, was the Disney movies, how they're doing a lot of the movies from the villain's point of view, like Maleficent. Like, it was all for a reason. Like she was, you only get to see one side of it. And so I'm very curious if they're going to take a Maleficent approach and be like, oh, he was actually, had these good intentions or something. But
that could be fascinating. Yeah.
And it has a basis in the lore. I've been going back and reading everything on Sauron since episode 8, basically, in History of Middle Earth and the Silmarillion. And before his relapse, after Morgoth's defeat, he had the intention of rehabilitating Middle Earth and had in mind the betterment of all in Middle Earth, as long as they did what he told them to. Because, of course, he knew what was best.
Sure.
But he had some sort of underlying good intentions.
Yes. I don't like villains that are just evil to be evil, I guess, if that makes any sense. But yeah, the complex villain is very interesting.
Some of the worst things imaginable have been done with the best intentions. Jurassic Park 3.
Yeah.
It's a great quote. So why introduce Sauron through the form of this human disguise? Well, Patrick McKay responded, one of the earliest ideas we had for the storyline came from the moment in the Fellowship of the Ring when Galadriel is tempted by Frodo's offer of the ring. She talks about how well she knows and understands Sauron. And there's a quote where she says, I know his mind and he gropes ever to know mine, but still the door is shut, which is basically like it's the finale. There's a strong feeling of him. What I love so much is they've made it so that Siri, shush, please be quiet. Siri. Can you guys hear Siri just then? Oh my god,
no. Is it your own personal Navi? Hey, listen.
But this is what Dune did. Get this. So Dune, the art direction for them is, let's make this thing as though Star Wars then looked at it and then was inspired by it to make Star Wars, and I think they succeeded because of the ornithopters have these 4 wings which you can then expand out into X-wings kind of thing. So the proto formation is like a bit of a guide for Patrick for McCain. And what I see this being is a scene where you could say, oh, George Lucas saw that in the 70s and then was like, hey, I love that idea of like, come with me, I'm your father kind of thing. It very much had that feeling to it of her shunning him and pushing, him back. But I don't, by the way, I think we can agree that it's not over. Like that drama has just begun. Like he may even spend an extended period of time, which is another thing that was then taken into this thing with Star Wars of like communicating, I don't know if it'll be a Palantir situation or visions or having a shared mind where they can say like, I'm watching you and I still believe that we'd be good together, but please proceed. Whoever was speaking there, go for it.
Was it you?
I don't remember.
I thought I heard an utterance.
Speaking of Star Wars, though, maybe you're just hearing my telepathic thoughts.
Maybe.
Anakin is another one that is the villain that had good intentions that I was thinking of too with Sauron.
Very much so. Yeah, I what I love most is, as I said, dimensionalizing. These characters that even though, I guess in some ways, the further back you go, like an organism becomes simpler, and Tolkien, some of his detractors say that he's very like good, evil, not so much gray in the middle, but there are crumbs and threads that you can pull, like gray threads.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You can pull that to explore the dimensionality there. So, so she clearly has a darkness that turning down the ring is a test that she feels she has to pass in order to finally go west, and that darkness is in her and is linked with her feelings about Sauron. And nothing is quite as like strains at the heart more than I won't specifically mention the characters, but there's a dynamic in The Sopranos where something proceeds in the story without ever having resolved. Like, I'll just say two characters, like there's a yearning there, there's a love there, and I'm not saying Galadriel is going to fall for Sauron and it'll be this thing where she kind of keeps that secret inside, but I do see a tiny bit of that going forward where he knows that there's going to be, I think, a guilt of like, I created Sauron, like almost maybe if you were to create it, like an analogy to like modern relationship or whatever, it's like, say you're the girlfriend of someone or boyfriend or whatever, partner of someone who eventually becomes a serial killer, right? And you ask yourself, well, what if I had like caved, and what if I had like nurtured them? Is it my fault that all these people are dead? Does Galadriel carry some guilt of like...
I could give you an example of that.
Please continue, go.
The guy who shot Kennedy.
Right?
He asked to his wife to take him back, and she said no. Next day, and a lot of people are like, she should have taken him back. It was her fault. No, it wasn't. But
I wonder if she
blames herself. Oh
my God,
I can't think of his name. I just keep thinking John Wilkes Booth, but that's not it.
No.
Oh,
Oswald.
Yeah.
Lee Harvey Oswald.
Thank you. Just kept thinking John Wilkes Booth. Wrong guy.
That's right. No, that's right. So that's another note there, which is again in this time of, discussion and I believe as we go along in enriching the eventual reveal, because nothing will be more satisfying than like we'll be watching it together, maybe co-streaming it, who knows. And what I'm looking at with this new season is doing post shows. We're looking at this year being the last of the part-time TPN stuff, like when the show goes live for your PT, Ashley, I believe, and your ET, Krishane. Did I get that right?
I'm PT.
Your PT?
We actually live in the same city.
We do. Almost. It's really weird.
Oh my God. Okay. I was going to have some coffee.
Ironic.
All right. By the way, tangent taking, that Krishane's a big John Wick person, and we're going to talk about John Wick, so you have to talk about John Wick with us too, Ashley. You have to.
Okay. I've only seen one of the things.
One of the things?
One of the movies.
You love it. We were talking about how it's like super medieval with like, adjudicators and like coins to get like passage to other countries. Believe me. And there's like, it's very, very cool. All right.
Okay. Krishane and I will have a marathon. Okay.
Yes. John Wick marathon before the fourth one comes out.
Yes.
Okay.
Maybe possibly.
maybe possibly a podcast with Krishane. It's a good podcast name. Maybe possibly. Patrick says, we wanted to do an origin story for Sauron. We didn't want to make a show that was about the hunt for Sauron, but we love the idea of Sauron as a deceiver who could hopefully deceive some of the audience, which was so great when I read that. It made me very, very happy. So there's lovely inspirations here that people have sort of seen, really additive stuff just to kind of think about, this is, again, from the creator. So there's something in Milton with Paradise Lost where he makes Satan a really compelling character in some ways. He's the first anti-hero, and you, the reader, are unconsciously won over now that you perceive your own fallenness and your need for redemption, right? Right? One of Ray's main feedbacks is like, because we met them in New York, and we sat next to JD in the screening, and Ray was like, so these guys kind of got catapulted right into the stratosphere with going from, I think they were like ghostwriters on like a Star Trek project, and then now they're fully, on the front of GQ or whatever, Vanity Fair, and And Ray's one feedback is like, I want to see more of these, like who they are. Like they're so scholarly and like well spoken, and like with all these ideas of references and paintings and artists that they want to include, many references to. She's like, I want to see more of that in the show. And it seems like they're doing that because they're like, well, it took all this time. We had COVID to set everything up, but I think they're going to go in season 2 more confident. So I figured a mini roundtable we could go on. Krishane, and then I'll go to you, Ashley. What would you like to see in terms of the evolution of maybe the filmmakers themselves instead of like a lore thing? What would you like to see from like performances or sets or whatever? What were you hoping for?
I am hoping for a little bit of an evening out of the pacing. I actually quite enjoyed the slower pacing, to be honest, but I felt like we spent too much time on some subjects and not enough time on others. And so I kind of want to see that even out where it feels a little bit more consistent throughout the season. And I think that was my biggest, not really complaint, but my biggest piece of feedback really that I had for the entire season as a whole. It's just that uneven pacing. But I really want to see them leaning into the high fantasy aspect of it and not turning to sort of what's popular in a lot of circles right now, which is more grim, dark fantasy, and that's fine, but that's not appropriate for this, I don't think, not yet at least. And so I don't want to see that high fantasy, like vibrant, colorful world full of light kind of sacrifice until we kind of get to our end game, really.
Yeah, and I completely agree with that, definitely. And how about yourself, Ashley?
One thing that I have always loved about the Lord of the Rings movies, and even The Hobbit does this too, is just the pans of the landscapes. I mean, like I never really knew about New Zealand growing up, I think I saw Whale Rider when I was younger. I'm like, oh, that's a cool place. But then like seeing Lord of the Rings, like I have to go there. Like I need more landscape panning, and the country of it is just beautiful to me. Mm-hmm. But I agree 100% with the pacing. But the Silmarillion, the more I'm detailed into it, that pacing, I mean, mainly because of editing and how it was made, it is very similar. Like I'm going to talk this whole chapter about the map. This chapter, I'm going to have vampires, werewolves, a love story, just all over the place. So, I mean, it's kind of Tolkien-esque. I get it, but I agree that there were scenes that I'm like, okay, let's move along. Yeah.
Indeed. No, I get that. I guess to add my voice to the round table is editing. Ray mentioned just little. It was like the tiniest of notes, which is just some inflections, like some. There was you look at Morphith, right? Who really has a lot of presence on screen, definitely. Mm-hmm. There's take the scene where she's teaching the Númenórean soldiers like sword fighting, and there is a version of that which you love. All of these things, like we are the most smoothed out network. You'll never get like spiky I'll die on this hill hot takes with us. Maybe it's anti-algorithmic because like there's the outrage economy or like outrage economy. I don't care about that, so I love it as is. But there is one way that I'm like, what if Peter Jackson's editor edited that fight? Would it have had like a slightly like even because they did color correction in there was one of the first films where they did a lot of that. Like, should this scene have played off as this, considering this is looming, I think, I don't know if Ray said this, like, this feels like a bit of a CW scene, like there was a feeling there of just, there was a vibrancy to it. There was a kind of like, a first person who draws blood or like can like land a blow and stuff. But as the world kind of, we're literally bringing this up to the start of the Fellowship of the Rings, just that the beginning, which is, again, to know that we're on that journey. Let's take another daggy, happy sidebar. yo, for the next like at least 10 years, like this is a very beautiful, slow build up towards the beginning of Fellowship of the Ring, like, which is such an astounding scene, right? I'm so looking forward to it. Kind of, actually, do you remember when people were, following like Phantom Menace, right?
Oh
And
my
then they
gosh, yes.
knew, right? And they knew like over this kind of, it wasn't quite a 10-year journey from 99 to 2005, but this idea that, oh, we're going to lead up right to the beginning of New Hope, which, the world is in a pretty rough place there with basically, yeah, like force Hitler, the empire and the emperor and stuff like that. So this is a big word salad to basically say, I'm really looking forward to how the show, keeps that light, because we aren't third age yet. It is still second age, and that has to be acknowledged. But slowly making our way, like with this guiding thing. And I think they must be really grateful to, like, well, we have a North Star, and it is the beginning of the Fellowship of the Ring. So just seeing things shift. You know what?
Video though for that.
But are you happy to be on this journey together though, on this podcast? Like,
yes.
Talk about episode 100. Let's do it. But anyway, do you know that I have like a big storage thing I need to like move boxes and stuff? But I love you guys, and I'm really, really glad that we got to hang out. Right?
Yes.
Yeah,
absolutely.
'Twas a fun time. Now, as we potter along, I need to once again, to everyone tuning in, of the Rings of Power, not just on Facebook, very soon on Instagram, on Patreon. Okay, all right. Say it with me. Yeah, you can even go OTROP, Otrop. That's nice. Otrop. That sounds like a Pokemon.
I nickname myself Sotsup. Sotsup.
Otrop and Sotsup. This is. I'm having a stroke. I'm kidding. Strokes are serious. No jokes about strokes. Oh wait, I just made a joke. Do we have a comment? What? Seriously? Abby Bowden, hello.
I just texted Abby, yeah.
But I can't get on here.
So that's what I was doing. I wasn't ignoring you.
No, I love it. For me, ignoring someone is a sign of love, so I want you to ignore me more. Okay? All right. I want everyone to just let their head down and not give a fuck. It's fine. Also, we swear. Abby, you're amazing. You can just jump on. What are you doing? You're in the chat. What? You can go on this show, by the way. If you guys are just over it, don't have mics set up, don't have cameras set up, go audio. You can do it on your phone. And you can just be a little like, I'll try and like turn my camera off so you can see what it looks like. This is, again, PSAs also for people in the chat. Like a lot of people, they tend not to join because they're a bit shy. But I think
what does it mean to be shy? I didn't just take a shower and do my makeup just for this show. No,
absolutely not.
Absolutely not. But where did he go?
I don't know.
Albert,
where are you? He's vanished. Maybe he found.
Where are you reading right now?
What's that? Oh, what am I reading?
What are you reading right now? Yeah.
I am just kind of digging into little bits and pieces of the history of It's just whatever I feel like investigating. Go back to the index, find what I'm looking for.
Yes.
I particularly like the myths transformed section of, I think it's Morgoth's Ring. I think it's Morgoth's Ring. It's got a really long section about Morgoth's motivations and Sauron's motivations.
Good.
Very fascinating stuff.
Interesting.
It's so funny. I was trying to be like, relax, people. Nothing will go wrong. And then I just kicked myself.
Oh, no, it all went wrong.
Okay, no. But seriously, like, for example, Abby and Krishane, for real. When you jumped on, like, StreamYard has a thing of like, hey, do you want to go audio? Do you want to go video? And you can choose not to go video. Like some of the post shows Ray and I will do, if we're not, don't want to set up the green screen, we'll just go live on our phones. So that's also going to be a thing later as well. If you can like sneak in an appearance at some point, you don't have to have everything set up. But also, thank you for the impromptu and well done on the vamping and like filling in while I like vanish. Some lovely literature recommendation there. But so I brought them up throughout the stream. I'm saying it in audio because I do have to dash, of the Rings of Power, Sisters of the Shire podcast. The love is real. I'm so glad that you both made it to the show. And Abby at the very end. Gigantic hugs. And yes, so I'm very excited to, it's going to be the next one. We're going to talk about episode 1 of the Rings of Power, the first 10 minutes. And won't that be nice? Because you go there, then you can kind of look at the scenes and we can kind of do roundtables on certain things. I call it the degustation of podcasts. It's like chewing your food, extracting all the nutrients in a way
I'll be working on my list.
Right there. Super attitude. Hugs from Abby. Okay, I gotta go. Bye, everybody.
Bye, Albert.
Have a lovely.
Bye, Krishane. Nice meeting you.
Nice meeting you.